Nella Rose. I always bring this up because I just thought, rah, man, nah, you guys are bad. That person knows nothing about you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're good, hope you're well. Today we're talking influencers and why they're not your friends. They're not your friends. But hear me out. So influencers, influencing is not new. Obviously, influencers, the concept of influencing has been around for ages. Roman gladiators used to endorse products, and if the word existed back in the day, they would be known as influencers.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
The royal family would endorse certain things.
Boom.
Influencer marketing, you could say. And so it's been around for a while, it's not new. But social media, which seems to pop up everywhere, made influencing a mass thing. It made it so that everybody could become an influencer. It made it so that that harsh line between us regular folk and celebrities was a bit more blurred, and you had like a two-way communication between you and an influencer, so it definitely blew up. And in 2019, influencer was officially added to the dictionary, but it's not new. And so a phrase that I want to talk about and that kind of encompasses this whole topic is known as parasocial relationships. I'm going to read the definition out word for word so I don't get it wrong. So parasocial relationships are one-sided relationships where one person extends emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party, the persona or the influencer, is completely unaware of the other's existence. So you probably see this more with celebs. You know, you have the Beehive, the Barbs, you have people, groups of people who invest and exert a lot of energy and time into having a relationship essentially, but it's one-sided with the celebrity. So they know everything about Beyonce, they know everything about Nicki Minaj, they know everything about Denzel Washington. And it's because, of course, that person is on a stage, on a platform. And so you're seeing a lot of their life or what they're portraying to be their life, their performances, their TV shows, etc. The thing is, that person knows nothing about you. So Beyonce, for the most part, knows nothing about this one individual person in the Beehive. So that is a parasocial relationship. And then when it comes to influencers, that happens. It's almost like the relationship's a little bit closer. For example, if I think about my channel, I recognize people that like regularly interact with me and I interact with them. If someone DMs me on Instagram, and I see our conversation history, I recognize who that person is for the most part. But bigger influencers and big celebrities, people can have full on love for them almost, and that person does not know that you exist. Now, this definition of parasocial relationships is just that. It's just the definition. It's not like people make observations, but it's not an observation as to whether it's good, whether it's bad. Everything has its pros and cons, which I'm going to discuss. But obviously, the title of this video, Influencers Are Not Your Friends, is not supposed to be negative, and you'll understand my thought behind that title as I get into these pros and these cons. The good. Obviously, it's a new type of relationship. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's no more or less legit than other types of traditional or well-recognized relationships. I think one good thing about influencers and having a relationship with or interacting with influencers is that it opens up a new realm of where you can find relationships and friendships. So for example, the fact that social media exists for me means that I interact and have somewhat of a relationship with a lot of people who maybe I've never even met in real life, but we kiki, we have fun, I think they're cool peoples. And equally, there are people that I've met through these kind of things that then translate into IRL, in real life, friends and offline relationships. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with having people outside of influencers. People have this a lot. They have community spaces online where they go and they discuss things with like-minded people, and it's just another avenue, especially now, the time that we're living in, 2020, 2021, with COVID-19, mad thing. We are not going out, we are not seeing our friends, unfortunately. And so these kind of communities and these kind of relationships, even if it is with influencers and it's a form of respite, or this person is, you look up to them, whatever, and you engage with their content, I think that could be quite healthy, and it could be a good way to get through right now what is a mad isolating time. this is kind of rolling in from the first point, but it expands your network. Like I said, I won't say too much because I kind of said that in the first point, but it expands your network. And if that network happens to be with your favorite influencers who you talk to on a regular basis and they talk back to you, or even if they don't talk back to you, but you still show them love and support, I don't see any problem with that. Another good positive role models. I know influencers, especially recently with their flipping COVID parties or whatever, I know they're getting a lot of stick right now, but for a lot of people, they follow influencers or they engage with influencers because they see them as a role model, as a positive role model in whatever remit. Maybe this person has helped you to love yourself more because they look like you and they love themselves. Maybe they've encouraged you to live a better life, a more sustainable life. Maybe they've just improved your fashion sense, or they taught you how to do your makeup better. Influencers can be good role models, and I think having affinity with an influencer, or a relationship, if you want to call it that, with an influencer that you feel uplifts you and encourages you. There's so many influencers I engage with or I follow or whatever, and they probably don't know I exist, but I find them really inspirational for one reason or another, and I will keep following them because I think they are one of many positive influences in my life. The bad. Let's get into the bad. The first, and I guess this is the thing that I think about, that I think underlines some of the negative stuff that can come with these parasocial relationships that we have with influencers, is that it's not a fully formed relationship. And so the rules that surround a regular offline friendship, the rules haven't quite been established in full. And so there's a very blurry line in terms of what can be said, what can't be said, what can be done, what can't be done, what expectations to have, what expectations not to have, when it is this one-sided, or even if it's two-sided, it's like heavily weighted on the person who isn't sharing their life with this person. Does that make sense? And when I say this relationship is not fully formed, think of influencers as, even if they're your friend, or you think they're your friend that lies. Hear me out. Maybe it's not a lie, but what I mean is you don't see 100% of their life. You only see the part that they show you. Even if they're the most open, honest, transparent influencer, they're not on Big Brother live where they're showing you their life 24/7. So there are things that you're not going to see. They're probably not going to show you the same things that they would tell their friends in real life. You, for example, watching me right now, you only know as much about my marriage as I've told you about my marriage. I might have shared, oh yeah, we disagree with this, we disagree with that, but you are not there when we're actually having it out or having some sort of disagreement. My friends or my closest people, my sister, for example, on the other hand, will get the full play-by-play of that argument, that disagreement, and so they know what's going on, the ins and out of my relationship. Same with social media. Even if an influencer has been transparent and open and not using filters and blah 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 blah, you're still not seeing them in their 100% natural state. You're only seeing either the highlight reel or whatever it is that they choose to put in that highlight reel. This is where unrealistic expectations can set in between the person that's having this one-sided relationship with an influencer, is that you think, it's like when people say, oh, I'm so sad that this couple broke up, like I have no hope anymore, I can't believe it, if they didn't make it then there's no hope for anyone else. And it's like, yes, you're saying that because you only saw that part of their relationship, whereas if they were your friend in real life and you were seeing the struggles that they were going through when they did eventually break up, you're like, okay, I was on that journey and I understood how they got to this place. But with influencers breaking up with people, you are blindsided essentially, because they're not telling you about all the struggles and the counseling and the arguments that they're having, so you're essentially blindsided, and it almost is like a bigger blow. Another thing that happens because of this sort of incomplete relationship that we have with influencers, and I think this is more negative it has more of a negative effect on the influencer than it does on the other person, is that because it's not a fully rounded relationship and because you don't have this dialogue going on and this closeness in real life, influencers aren't afforded the same grace as they would be in your friends in real life. But you, in our heads, that's my friend, right? But in reality, you're not treating them like a friend. An example, I always bring this up because I just thought, oh man, nah, you guys are bad. Was, again, I've talked about it in previous videos, but Nella Rose and that whole thing that happened. It's happened to loads of people, but that one just sticks into my head for a while, yeah. Obviously, people were being cancelled on Twitter for things that they had said in the past. We'll get to that in another video. That's a whole nother mess. Anyways, people were being cancelled for problematic things they said in the past. Nella's tweets were then brought up and people cancelled her. They tried to cancel her for things that she said maybe when she was 14 or whatever. Now, imagine that had happened, but it was your best friend who lives down the road, yeah? What would you have done? Would you have, picture some of the tweets, would you have gone, knocked on his door and said, "Ah, can't believe you, oh my gosh, deleting your number, cancelled"? No, you wouldn't do that. You would have a dialogue. You'd be a bit more understanding. You'd see them as more human. They would say, "Oh, but you know, at the time, this is what my mindset was," and most people would give their friends that grace. They might correct their friends for sure, but they would give their friends that grace. What happens with influencers now is you see them as your friend, you see them as someone that you look up to, and therefore you hold them to a high regard, but they don't get the same grace that your friends get, because as much as you might think it's a real relationship, it's not. It is, but it's not the same kind of relationship. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. We don't give them the same grace that we give our friends, basically. And because these relationships are happening on a forum like social media, on a forum like the internet, that also plays a part in it. So actual relationships face to face on the phone, where you're talking, where you have emotions, where you have facial expressions and stuff, are completely different to a screen. I'm on my own. I'm not even saying these words out loud. I'm typing them up. Completely different dynamic. And that's why we can talk the baddest in a text argument, but now arguing face to face, completely different. So if typing and speaking has such a contrast in the way that we talk to people, now imagine not only are you typing, you're typing to someone who can't type back to you, you're typing to someone who you can't talk to face to face on the phone, have a dialogue with. It's gonna be completely different and oftentimes negative. A two-way convo would allow us to allow our friends errors and slip-ups, and people talk, and you'll see how many times I'm gonna cut this video because I'm saying blurring my words, but we don't give that same grace in an 180 character tweet that goes out and can't be edited. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense to me. In conclusion, I just think the relationships that we have with influencers are fine. We shouldn't stop having them if you are really enjoy interacting with someone. Influencers, I believe, do enjoy interacting with their followers and their subscribers as well. It is legit a type of relationship, but we just have to understand that it's not, well, in my opinion, it's not the same as an offline, in-person, two-way relationship that you might have with your friends and your family. And as long as we can differentiate between the two, I think we can strike a healthy balance. And I think when I say differentiate, I don't just mean, oh, understand that this person's not your friend and they don't know you, blah, blah, blah. I mean also the way that we interact with them. We have to understand that this is different. And if you are trying to show them the same kind of love that you might show someone in real life, which really and truly you should treat everyone the same, then we should also question how we interact with influencers online and the things that we say. That one just always baffles me, because I personally can never type something that I wouldn't say in real life, if that makes sense. So that's something that we need to think about. But basically, we just need to make sure we're understanding there's a difference between a one-sided relationship, a parasocial relationship, and a two-way in real life. I know, or when I say in real life, it could even be like pen pals or speaking on the phone. Do you know what I mean? Two-sided relationship, because when we get those lines blurred and we don't understand, things can get messy. Things can get mentally and emotionally messy for you, for both parties. So just something to think about, bit of food for thought for you guys. Let me know what questions it might have stirred up in you, and please leave them down below, because I do take note and I do think about, how to expand on those topics. And I've been doing more sort of, these video essays like this, and I will link the last one that I did here about beauty standards and something else. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.